Hello everybody! Thank you very much for joining us today for episode 2 of Blood of the Dynast. How's everyone going today?
Not bad.
Doing well.
Decided to put my name down there. Not sure if I like it. I might be fiddling with it throughout the game, just so you know, in case I'm distracted and miss something you're saying.
Your name, right?
Yeah, my name.
What's that? 30 XP?
30 solar XP. So, hello everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Blood of the Dynast. We are going to very quickly turn that music down again, because what the hell is going on? It's just gotten really loud for me. So, like, I run my audio through, like, 10 different mixes on my computer, so I can fiddle with it how loud I hear it, which doesn't affect how loud these guys hear it, which doesn't affect how loud you guys hear it, or girls, or both. So I just have to fiddle with a lot of settings. So, what we might do, because I don't have a super stylish last time planned, or anything like that, I just didn't think to do something like that. So what we might do is have a little bit of discussion about what it was that happened last session. Our players, Kenbish, Komi, and Nemos. Well, the characters, Kenbish, Komi, and Nemos, received some vague letters promising work and fortune, and they followed these letters through to a little village by the name of... Anybody remember?
Do you remember, Oak?
Oh dear.
Do you remember?
Does anybody remember?
I don't remember places. I'm dyslexic.
You remember places, you just can't say them properly.
I know it was near Chanos.
Yes, it was near Chanos.
Yeah. I want to say something to do with spring, flowers, and lakes, but...
Yeah. All of those things are similar and related to the name of the town. But anyway, so they went to this little village out in the middle of nowhere, just a few days shy of Chanos, which is one of the main distribution ports on the Blessed Isle, which rests on one of its northern shores. Chanos itself is controlled by the Cessus family, but it's also, because it's such a major port, it also has one of the largest garrisons of the Pelops Marines, the Imperial Marines, led by the Pelops family, and so there's this fear on the Cessus side of things that the Pelops army might try to take over. Now, our characters have been gathered together by a lady who identified herself eventually as Vanif Jade. That they were to set forth in the name of her benefactor, who has thus far remained nameless, and find one of the sources of corruption in Chanos. Someone has been, quote-unquote, cooking the books. And it is your mission given to you as a test to see if you are worthy of more interactions with her and her benefactor, to deal with as you see fit. You must find this person and deal with it in whatever way you want. And if you make the benefactor happy, then you'll see more of them. If you don't make them happy, then this will be your last assignment. So, in preparation, the three travelled off towards Chanos, stopped by in a town. They lured who they think is a spy to drive their carriage for them. They've summoned a demon, a Neema, and asked her to remain incorporeal and follow this driver once they arrived in Chanos, the windswept city of the north. So the session left off with the three of them being dropped off at an inn, and this driver being taking away the horses and carriage, the thing that they had just trussed up, to look remotely rich. So what is your plan here in the city? You've arrived, you don't have any information. You've got an incorporeal demon following what you think might be a lead. But you're not due to meet them for a whole other day. So what, if anything, do you do now?
Well, would there be a way for, would there be a role for me to determine if there are any businesses here that are linked with House Nellens, or would that be not really a thing due to the overbearing Cessus and Pellet control?
What do you mean? Like,
just would there be any way for Kenbish to basically find out if there are businesses here that are connected enough to House Nellens that she would have kind of already an inroad with them to kind of try asking around from them to try to get some information on this whole, because the whole thing is that the town whose name we don't remember is in trouble because Chanos is starting to get their produce from elsewhere, where they used to get it all mostly from the smaller town. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's not my only option, but I was like, if possible, looking into places that already have some degree of Nellen's connection might be one of the easier ways to try to gather information from people who would be more ready to be open.
okay, do you have any dots and contacts?
Do I? Let me see. I do, and I didn't actually put a thing down for them, but I had intended to basically note them as Nellen's business, because that's the whole thing my character does. So how would I use this one dot of contacts, if at all?
What I would ask you to do is roll it.
All right.
In the meantime, Nemos, I saw a moose hand.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, historically, how does the realm go about coordinating the logistics of paying tribute to the Empress and the realm infrastructure? Do they have a sort of tax house where all the books are examined by an accountant, or is it more ad hoc? Would I know through my law history what the kind of procedure would be?
Or history?
I'm assuming that such institutions would have a history of when they started, how they grew, and how they spread. Imagine most institutes that are important to the realm would have some history behind them.
Well, the realm does have a treasury, this you know, and that treasury is run and overseen almost exclusively by the Empress herself. She controls the flow of jade everywhere.
Yes.
Every bar of jade is stamped with her royal seal of approval. So... But
how does she, account for the wealth of, because she takes, taxes, right?
Yeah.
How does she, organize that tax collection? What are the organizations? What their history? Would we expect to find a building in here? Are they neutral? Or are they, do you self-report?
This is heading more into bureaucracy territory rather than law history. So what you would know is that there is a royal treasury, sort of like a unified bank of the realm, and people are everyone does their banking through it. So it's the only place that stamps and guarantees, letters of marque, notes, obols, all those sorts of things It's the only place you can go to get currency. So there would be branches here, yes, and people would need to report to it, pay their taxes to it, all those sorts of things.
Okay, interesting.
Think a place like Chanos probably has a large branch, because it's such a large sort of major trade port. Any of the tribute coming from the satrapies out in the Threshold and beyond would have to come through here. Also one of the reasons for the immense marine presence.
Could I know, is there any noteworthy society clubs that have a like is the how do I explain it? Like, is there a famous sort of tea house where historically like figures of note would have like met? Is there like, what is the social scene? Would I know? Like, do I have enough knowledge on the history of this this region to know give me a lore roll and apply your history. Is it a background or a specialty? My lore is history. My specialty is mathematics.
Okay, just give me a lore roll, please. In the meantime,
fantastic.
Kenbish.
I got a success actually on that roll of 1 die.
Roll an 8. So, given that there is so much of a intertrade exchange going on here in the city, Nellens has, well, House Nellens has, what do you call them, limit businesses in the area, either to funnel funds through, to sort of keep an eye on the businesses and things around. I mean, they're rich, they have their hands in a lot of stuff. The actual city itself is owned and controlled by Cessus. It's in Cessus territory. So any of the Nellens businesses running in the area would need to report to Cessus, as well as reporting to the Imperial Bank. But there will be some around, and if you can prove that you are Nellens, which is relatively easy for you, you know how to do that, then they tend to be rather friendly and a good source of information on what's going on in the area, because not only do they run their businesses, they also keep an eye on the flow of opals, marks, and jade, and all that sort of stuff.
All right, so I'll make sure to look into that. And I think Plucky got some successes on his roll.
Looked like 6 to me.
Yeah, there we go.
This isn't the music I wanted. This is it. Zooming his camera sort of just took me off guard for a moment. Okay. I apologise. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so I keep pausing when I think I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to have to blow my nose occasionally. So I apologise. I'm just going to mute myself while I do that.
So what Nemus is thinking is he's going to try and find the social side of the city and try and infiltrate and learn a bit more about what's going on that way. That's pretty much his only experience in this kind of skullduggery and more covert operations. But he is definitely open to more sensible, because it seems like a very roundabout way of doing things.
See, Mountain's gonna wait until, like, just follow they're the more socially adept ones leads, because if it came down to her, she'd just be like, hey, is somebody cooking books here?
Cult criminal scum.
That is genius. Like, let's not rule out that possibility, but perhaps other measures should be taken first.
The Central Cultural Zone in Chanos, the place where it's not so much that everybody's agreed that this place would be neutral territory. It just so happens to be towards the heart of the city. It was one of the first major establishments in Chanos as a port city, one of the first things that was built, and it has, mostly through monopoly, become one of the largest, most prestigious sort of establishments in the entire city, aside from the Imperial regiments, the Cessus businesses, and the Imperial banks. It's referred to as the Ivory Omphalos Victorious. And it is...
Can you say that again? Slower, as if you're talking to somebody very stupid.
The Ivory Omphalos Victorious.
Watch me butcher that name throughout this episode, folks. Thank you, Alec. That's the place for it.
The
Now,
good old IOV.
this place, like so many places in the realm, following Immaculate Doctrine, avoids idolatry of anything other than direct reference and yet not directly insinuating connection to the Immaculate Dragons. So you find a lot of sort of creative places like this wielding fairly creative names. The Omphalos Triumphant is the name of Passiops Mon. It's his essential theme. So they've avoided idolatry of anything other than an Immaculate Dragon. So it's a direct reference to Passiop without actually calling it or insinuating that this place is the Omphalos Triumphant. So they've called it the Ivory Omphalos Victorious. This place is essentially an enormous casino, hotel, marketplace. It's this enormous building that takes up maybe 4 city blocks that is like, it's almost a city unto itself. It has lodgings, it has entertainment, it has, you know, food catering, it's just this enormous complex. And it doesn't quite tower above the barracks, but it is quite a... It's almost the Imperial Mountain in miniature here in the center of town. It's where most of the people who are people worth being and being around are. If you could follow that train of thought. So it will be a great source of information if you can gather any from people in there. And, Kenbish, you just happen to know that there are a lot of the chain businesses within rented out to the Nellens family who runs. They may not necessarily be part of the family, the people who run them, but they would quote unquote owe allegiance to Nellens in some way, shape or form. Their business, they got their loans to start up their business by approaching Nellens first, and they lent them the money, that sort of thing. And so they take their fair share of double tax after the Imperial Bank has been paid and their expenses are made. Then they pay Nellens stipend after that as well. There's quite a few of them sort of dotted throughout. So what I'm going to let you do is, if for your particular requirements at any point you can sort of consider it business superposition. You can stunt the existence of any Nellens owned business or a Nellens financed business anywhere in this complex as you choose, as long as it's not something I've already established, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool.
May I be so bold to suggest that we check out the Ivory Omphalos Victorious? Yeah, I hear that it would be only proper if we introduce ourselves to the Dragonblood Society, as I believe you know, it's expected of newcoming Dragonbloods into a city to at least say hi to our peers and colleagues. And...
well, there is really no better place to begin, I believe, and I'm quite sure there are some businesses within the Omphalos that are, if not directly tied to my family, owing my family, and I think that will be fruitful. And then she kind of looks at Kobe, and she's just like, what do the Immaculates think about gambling again? Just kind of wondering, and just like, man, this girl, she's gonna stand out like a thing that stands out and is very honest. I'm really eloquent right here. But anyway, yes.
Well, much like anything, it's a vice, but it's not a banned vice, so long as it's taken moderation, like anything.
Sensible.
Excuse me, good sir. I couldn't help noticing you're aware of books portraying to this region. May I by chance purchase one of these tombs that would give me more insight into this lovely city and its society? I wish to buy a travel guide to this city. I figure that there'd probably be in, like, you know, near where we walk in, somebody trying to sell guides to the city.
Oh, right. Okay, all right. Yes, there's an information center. And it's run by someone with a unique accent that I can't come up with right now.
Oh, I can't place your accent. Where is it from? It's most unique. If you don't mind me saying so.
Oh, I come from the Southern Isles. Oh God.
Oh yes. I can tell by that accent, of course. A very isolated isle on the summons from the sound of that accent.
No, not that isolated. No. No. Can I interest you in some information pamphlets?
If you have a more comprehensive tomb, I'd be most delighted. If not, I'll make do with a series of pamphlets. I do not wish to put you in trouble by any chance, but I feel they'd be quite useful. I'm new to the town. I'm Nemos Tohak. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, of course.
Oh yes. I can see that you know. And so what I'll do for you is tell you what, for a special 5 shekels, I'll give you a map of the city.
And I assume that this map is adequately labelled with all the facilities one might need.
Oh, absolutely.
That sounds like. Where is this resource-wise? Is it very? Is it not even really
it's a pit. If you have resources, this is a pittance. Yeah. But if you don't have any resources, sure. It's really expensive.
Yeah. No. Of course, this is yes. That's most agreeable. Of course.
Oh, great. Here you go. And just takes your money, gives you the map. You sort of open up the map, and it's just this nice big map of the city. A few notable landmarks on it. And he says, we got a special going for a further 10 shekels. I can update your map to be. I can update your map with the latest information.
Yeah, I wish to propose something even better. I don't suppose you happen to have a guide on offer that I could hire for my stay in here. It would be help me and my friends get more acquainted with the city, and obviously there's nothing like having access to a more interactive means of finding out information about a city.
Oh, you want your guide to follow you around? I can offer you that maybe. For, let's say, 2 rubles an hour.
I don't wish to sort of quibble over rates of the tour, but I prefer to have a quotation for on a day basis for the next few days.
For the next few days. For the next few days. Oh. Just. And he sort of opens up some books and starts sort of flicking through and goes, "Oh yeah, I have some openings. We got a. I don't actually know the realm currency system that well. I'm going to have to very quickly look that up.
Technically, obols are less than shekels.
Oh, God.
Yes, that's quite...
Put that the other way around, then. I shouldn't just talk off the top of my head. I should look these things up. Here we go.
is the price whatever it ends up being in the setting currency, is the price he's proposing reasonable? Although I figure if it's not that reasonable, it doesn't super matter for us because resources 3.
For what he's offering, it's for what he's offering, it's a little bit expensive. It's like you come to expect this in big cities where, like, you know, if you go to a country town and you order a coffee, you know, the coffee might cost you a few zenny, you know, and you come to the big city, you're paying a few obols for it, you know, for the same coffee, because it's in the big city. It's just the way economics tends to work.
I presume that this individual has experience dealing with those that have been, is the correct word, a little mountain elevated by the dragons, dragon-blooded, enlightened by the dragons. That's right, thank you.
Made taller by the dragons.
Nemos will look around to his
There isn't
compatriots,
even
looking a bit
something called a shekel.
apologetic to his compatriots for the time it's taking here. Often he finds
Shekel
whenever
was the
he goes.
second edition.
Yeah, an obol a day.
That seems
'Cause, yeah,
quite
back in-
reasonable as far as I'm concerned. He looks over to his business consultant to give the nod of approval. Yes.
That's not an unfair price.
Yeah, I was gonna say because a shekel back in second edition was worth 8 obols.
A talent of jade per day.
What? That sounds a little bit excessive.
So, what kind of
We just take the talent and just kind of drop it on top of him.
So, what kind of a guide are you looking for today? Any particular things you want to say? Any particular things you want to do?
I believe a guide that could tell us a bit about the goings of the business affairs. I'm in here for a business venture, so it would be helpful to have somebody that knows the local markets and make the introductions, but also obviously being one of the forgive me, my memory scatters, one of those touched by the dragon's blood. I would also like to know who's made the proper introductions for the societal side of things, of course.
You can call me Tommy Tom.
Is he offering himself as a guide?
Yeah. And he sort of just steps out. He steps out of the little stall that he's in, sort of just pulls a string, and the whole thing sort of just folds up, and then he sort of just locks it. Tommy Tom, glad to meet your acquaintance, and holds out his hand.
I will give a slight bow. Look at his hand, and is it like usual etiquette for to shake hands out of character, or is this
Well, he hasn't identified himself as a dragon-blooded, but sort of neither have you.
I believe I've repeatedly said that I'm a dragon-blooded. Repeatedly.
Did you?
Just in the most wonderfully fumbling way possible.
When, yes. I said I was caught by the dragons and elevated by them. I then guessed clarification and correct terminology for it. Sorry, was that not clear? Sorry.
No, I might have just missed it, but that doesn't matter because he's missed it. He holds out his hand. What do you think my hand's not good enough for you?
It's just sorry. Forgive me. I'm not used to the local etiquette. That's one of the reasons I hired a guide. It's just in Dynast and Great House thing. I don't believe this is usually how we greet one another. I'm a little bit out of my element. I must admit.
What? You don't shake hands in your big fancy cities and land?
I mean, I've got socialized free. I assume that this is like. This is
what, like because he's not like. He's probably a peasant. But you don't know. Like, he hasn't, like, fully introduced himself or anything like that. He's not being terribly reverent to you. This is very different from the treatment you got in that village back there, whose name we totally remember.
Yes. It was a delightful village. I'm sure I will remember it. In fact, I'm going to take out my map and look at the village we just come from.
Are you?
Yes, yes, I am.
While he's doing that, I'm just Nellen's just kind of. She's going to kind of glide forward, and while this has been going on, she was kind of she was lighting up her like very thin long pipe, and kind of as she comes forward, she's kind of blowing off a stream of smoke off to the side because she's not yet to the stage of blowing smoke in people's faces, but she just kind of angles a little bit close to the guide. Tony McTomerson man. That's his
Tony
name.
Tom.
Yes. And it's just kind of very quietly. This is a very interesting way to speak to one of the Exalted. Is that a delightful quirk of Chanos specifically? Or have I been missing out?
Yeah. Pardon me. Pardon my manners. Sorry, and he sort of just wipes his hand on his shirt and then offers it. Didn't realize I was amongst such esteemed personages.
You know what? Okay. If apparently he's still gonna offer his hand, she's going to. She will shake. It is a firm, business-like grip. Firm grip. Look in the eye. Don't take too long with the handshake. And she just kind of nods her head. My name is Nellens Kenbish, and I travel with the esteemed Immaculate Celeste Komi and Nemos Tohak. Thank you for your offer of your services.
Nice to meet your acquaintances. One and all. Can everyone please make an awareness plus perception roll?
By the way,
Yes,
Mountain will also do the two-handed handshake thing, like to greet. Like it's nice to meet you. Her grip, not business-like, just very strong.
Perception plus awareness, was that?
Perception plus awareness, yes. Perception plus awareness.
2 successes.
Come on.
I would like to do a read intentions.
Five successes.
I have succeeded 2 times.
Okay. Comey, while he's shaking Kenbish's hands, you notice he manages to palm away one of the wonderful jeweled rings that Kenbish is wearing and sort of just pockets it expertly. Kenbish barely even notices. As in, doesn't notice. Not barely notices, doesn't notice. He's just like, and as he pulls his hands away, he's slipped off the ring and sort of stuck it in his pocket.
Alright, well, so while she's got the grip, she's kind of looking at him, like, please put it, like, she doesn't come right out and say it, but she's just like, put it back, please put it back. Until it feels like people are getting awkward, and then she finally is like, releases, and then nudges Kenbish.
There's a sort of tinkle on the ground, and Tommy Tom sort of goes, oh, mistress, it seems like you've dropped one of your fancy rings. And he sort of just bends down very sort of gracefully, just plucks it up off the ground and offers it back to you.
She takes it and dusts it off and checks to make sure it's not, scratched or anything, and then puts it back on carefully. And is like, thank you. wasn't aware it had become loose. I will have to see a jeweler.
No, I know plenty of good jewelers around here, and in fact, I could recommend one. He's a friend of a cousin of my brother's.
Well, I'm going to read intentions this person, if I may.
Roll.
Just checking my charm list to see if I have any applicable charms. No, I do not.
This music's a bit too grave for me. I'm trying to find something else.
I've succeeded 2 times. I imagine this guy was probably a little bit better than 2. So.
Well, you don't know, do you? Were you trying to guess at an intimacy, or get his general objective for the scene, or?
Yeah, I want to see his objective. I imagine, like, it's looking like he wants to fleece us for that.
No, he just wants to sell his good and honest services and put on a good impression for the fine personages who have come his way.
Right. Good to know.
So, where can old Tommy Tom take you first?
Did we, are we hungry after our travel? Do we wish to go straight to the, Ivory Phallus Victorious, or,
Oh, the Ivory Phallus does in fact contain, among many other things, it contains fine eateries, so if we, hunger need not divert us from the Omphalos.
Yeah, absolutely, I can show you the way. Yeah, just follow me. And he just takes you down the way a little bit. There's some twists and turns through some streets, some back alleys. You see him give sort of a nod and a wink to some of the more unsavory looking types in the alleys, and they sort of back off and sort of don't really accost you too much at all. He's able to sort of just... It's interesting having Tommy Tom guide you around, because you get the impression, although you are dragon-blooded and people would normally not sort of approach you, this town, well, the people here seem a little bit bolder than any you've encountered before, especially not in the Imperial capital or any of the academies you've been through at all. This is a town of people who are sort of just joining the realm and its infrastructure, and so might not be fully cognizant of the full repercussions of doing what their eyes suggest that they might want to do. But with Tommy Tom leading the way, you can tell that they back off, like, this, they're spoken for, essentially.
How intriguing! What a curiosity! I believe that this is more. The city seems more in line with what I've heard from my colleagues with their journey to the threshold and stuff. Oh, what a lively, if not slightly unsettling way to treat us.
I'm sure it's a combination of being suffused with a great many dragon-blooded all at the same time, and a great many who are not natives of the Blessed Isle. Some of column A and some of column D.
Quite. So I became myself quite comfortable with sorcery, being around it all the time. So that makes perfect sense.
While they're walking, Mountain takes a moment to ask Tom where the nearest Immaculate Shrine is, so that she can pay her respects while she's at the temple, while she's here.
Oh, they have the grace of having the top floor of the Omphalos, they do. Are you a member of the Way?
I am an Immaculate Monk. Well, yes, recently graduated Immaculate Monk.
Really, really, really nice to make your acquaintance. They haven't given you one of those silly names, have they?
Well, the sobriquet they gave me is Little Mountain. My name is Lisa Comey.
Oh, and you identify with your name. You don't just use the silly little one they give you.
I use whichever one people address me by.
No, interesting. And Nemos, was it? Nemos. Are you a follower of the way?
He looks to his spiritual advisor, Little Mountain. Would I be familiar with the way? Is this a usual colloquialism out? Like,
no one calls it the way.
No. Look, I forgive my ignorance. I've not heard the expression "the way." Little Mountain, would you care to shed some more light on this terminology?
I believe it's just a means of how they say up here to follow the path. It's just a synonym for the path, which we are all on as we make our way through our many, many lives.
Yeah, the way, the path, the road, the journey, the what do you call this? What you call it up here? What you call it up here? I'm from the southern Western Isles, so it's in the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
The Immaculate Faith.
Oh, the faith. Do you call it the faith here?
Yes.
I call it the order.
Yeah, the Immaculate Order. The Immaculate Faith.
Just to cover, the faith and the order are two different things.
Yeah, well, there's going the idea of the fact that she's part of the Immaculate Order, but the Immaculate Faith is the religion of overall. Like, the order is the gathering of the monks.
Like, I'm a Catholic, but I'm not a priest.
That's not quite how I understand it, but okay, we'll run with that for now. Why'd you call it the faith up here?
Faith, order. I mean, it's synonyms. It's
synonyms.
I know certain ones.
What's this synonyms name? Word.
It means words that mean similar things.
Oh gosh, you got more than one word that means the same thing.
Yes, like how you could call a dog a puppy.
Well, a dog's a dog and a puppy's a puppy. Like, a puppy's a thing, and a dog's a thing, and a dog's a thing, and a puppy's a thing. But while most dogs are puppies, not all puppies are dogs. No, the other way around. Well, most puppies are dogs, not all dogs are puppies.
Well, that is true. Let's see, another one. A rock and a stone.
I'm sure there's a subtle difference there somewhere too. I just can't put my finger on it. You know what? It's okay. I'll fill your bowl with my interests later. What about you, Miss Kenbish? Are you a follower of the path, the way, the order, the faith?
I do believe in the Immaculate Faith. Although, certainly I am not a member of the Immaculate Priesthood like our esteemed companion. Not quite cut out for clerical life, I'm afraid. Now business.
Honestly, I couldn't imagine a world without meat. It's becoming quite clear to you he seems to know a lot about the Immaculate Order.
Yes. How did you know that I was a vegetarian?
I'll tell you amongst vegetarians. What do they call them? Ethics. Ethics?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a hard time. I'm sorry.
Ascetics.
I couldn't get it. Yes, that's the one. Ascetics. Yeah. Ascetics.
Ascetics, celibacy. That's
Oh,
sort of.
God,
Yes,
you don't even get to rumble into
certain-
sheets.
No. No.
But isn't that one of the best things about being one of you dragon blooded types? You can just sort of dilly on with whoever you like.
Not.
And
Quite.
Mountain is visibly getting very uncomfortable with this line of discussion.
And Kendish is going to. She's going to put a hand on Best Girl's shoulder and just. That would be a very, in fact, unforgivably wasteful use of one's progenitive powers as gifted by the dragons. Also, she's like a teenager.
Excuse me, are we close to our destination?
Oh yes, it's just around this. It's just around this corner here. I just, thought I'd just ask some questions about my good patrons. Now, I don't suppose you'd be willing to sort of pay the first day up front, would you?
I was going to suggest that we perhaps decide to take a short break. I believe that perhaps the conversation is going into uncomfortable territory, with which I do not feel comfortable with, and I think for the best that we just pay your day's rate with a little bit of a tip on there and leave it at that, shall we?
You're not going to watch my services for the other days?
We'll have a discussion about it and see if that's necessary, but you've already given us a colourful introduction to the city. I feel more at home than I have done elsewhere.
What about my family? What about my mom? She's sick. I need to get medicines.
She's sick, is she? Well,
yeah.
Perhaps in lieu of payment, I could drop by and examine her with my exquisite training in the fields of medicine. I'm sure I could assist in healing her. What kind of ailment? Have you got a diagnosis by any chance?
Oh, that would be very nice of you. She's got pains in her back.
Back pain is quite a common complaint. Legs.
And her hands.
That makes sense. The back is linked through the spinal column to many bits of the
and sometimes the neck too.
Yes, that makes sense. Well,
while he's saying this, I would like to do options to try to determine if this man is in fact telling the truth.
There's no like, is this person lying to me? Read intentions roll. The best you can do is try and discern some intimacies. Like, for example, does he in fact have an intimacy to his ma? Or what is his goal for the scene?
I would like to then read intentions to see if he has an intimacy for his ma. So
roll them bones. Then you find a sound effect, so you can just sort of click it.
Yes.
Just go.
That will be 6 dice, and then I will spend 2 motes on the excellency to gather 1 automatic success. So all right, okay, so that is a total of, that's 3 successes on the dice and 1 success on the excellency.
Yes, he does have an intimacy to his ma. What's the best way to phrase it? Ma's inheritance, in brackets, covetous, major.
Ooh. This is very interesting. Mom spaghetti.
Well, if you wouldn't mind signaling your abode and on this map, I would be happy to perhaps make a visitation if time permits.
Oh yes, of course. Oh, geez, sorry. The wind seemed to have taken me a little bit there. I really thought we were in to enjoy the whole day together. I'm a little disappointed. I'm really sorry.
Well, if your mother's sick, then I wouldn't want to be one to separate somebody from their loved one while they're in a period of
Well, it's just I've got to work. You see,
Clearly, you're quite concerned. You're clearly upset about it, and I'm glad that you came across me, so I may be able to alleviate some of your suffering. I mean,
just I've got to work. I've got to earn the coin to buy the medicines.
Well, we're going to pay you the day's rate, so if anything, if money is a concern, you'll be able to make more money this day, or go and spend time with your sick mother.
Kenbish takes out the day's rate as agreed on, and presses it into his hand, and looks him or attempts at least to look him square in the eye. He's like, "You just here's the day's pay, and here's a little extra on top, and we'll be sure to have Nemos help your mother with all those aches and pains. Now, I'm sure she needs her son beside her, through all her discomfort. And she puts on like a little extra on top of that. But also she's like, while giving him this money, she's kind of giving him this look of like, I'm on to you.
I know, I always answer to my enemies by giving them more money. It throws them off.
They never know what to expect.
Well, you've been very kind and more than generous here, and he sort of just marks down a spot on the map. He goes, if you could come here, I'll spend the rest of the day with Mama. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you. And he sort of just holds in his hands and says, thank you, and then turns and goes back down the alley. The place that he's marked is a few blocks away from here, down towards the docks.
Nemos will wait until he moves out of earshot and disappears away. I'm terribly sorry. I didn't know that our guide would broach into subjects that are, by and large, sort of unpalantry or unseemly for such conversations that we would expect on a tour of the city. I take it upon myself. It was my idea. I hope you don't think any less of me by this poor judgment. Looking to take him into a mountain, who seemed very...
Kenbish pats Little Mountain's shoulder and looks to Nemos and says, yes, I am unsure exactly how much I would recommend visiting what he claims to be his abode. I have a distinct sense that his interest is not so much in the well-being of his mother and more in her inheritance. And such an individual, I can hardly expect to actually want the services of a doctor to prolong his mother's life, given that distances him from the money he so desires.
Is it at all terrible of me that makes me wish to heal this woman even more and ensure her longevity as far as my skill can allow it?
Well, if you must go, I would recommend you not go without at least one of us.
I was going to suggest that perhaps we think about also perhaps through your contacts and betting through because you seem much better at this kind of recruitment, I imagine, through your day-to-day work, some sort of security, as it does seem that there are hostile elements or people that perhaps mean us harm. And us being new to the city, you don't know how to navigate the ones that would support us and the ones that would harm us.
Yeah, city thieves do tend to be far bolder than those out in the sticks. We would do well to keep our eyes open here, even around the common people. For now, I suggest that we make our way to the Omphalos, where hopefully things are at least marginally closer to a sense of propriety.
We can only hope that they have some sort of a guards to keep out the riffraff. Yes, quite.
Indeed, the Omphalos Victorious does have guards to keep out the riffraff. And stepping inside its enormous borders, it's like stepping into another world. The city of Chanos is sort of windswept, not exactly dirty. It is well kept. It's patrolled by guards, and all these sorts of things. It's just that these particular alleyways you've been led down aren't the best showing of the city. And so when you step out into the wide walkway leading towards the Omphalos, it's just this grand, great building that almost takes up your entire vision. You have to really crane your neck to take the whole thing in all at once. And it's almost... not almost. It's built like a sort of like a tiered almost pyramid. Why do I keep saying almost? It's a tiered pyramid.
It would be if it wasn't for that last block. Almost got a pyramid.
It's flat on top. Passing in towards the... Sorry. Passing in towards the Omphalos Triumphant. The guards here are not the Imperial Marines. They seem to be sort of private guard. None of them, as far as you can tell, appear to be of the blood. None of them carry any particularly defining features or anything like that, but they are sort of fairly well equipped. And there is quite a great deal of them. Seems to be that Cessus is ensuring its investment here. Possibly even funded a little bit on the Nellon side as well. Stepping inside, it's, as I said, it's like stepping into another world. The place here is grandiose, it's huge, it's almost like an enormous palace itself. The only architecture you've seen even remotely come even remotely close to this is that of the Imperial City itself, although it is confined by very strict rules and regulations that sort of force a lot of creativity, but also sort of confined space. Here it's all spread out. There's no sort of worry about sort of zoning laws or issues or anything like that. It can just be in its full, grandiose, wonderful self. So you can sort of picture the tiered layers. There's a great sort of fountain waterfall that sort of runs up and down through the middle. You can sort of take stairs around the edges to go up into each new individual level. There are closed off areas for specific businesses, some private, some not quite so private, but sort of tucked behind walls and those sorts of things. But mostly this place is completely open air, letting that sort of that gentle whistle of the sea breeze pass by the top layer, giving that gentle little whistle just on the edge of perception, almost like a constant tone just beyond hearing. Is there anywhere in here you would like to go in particular? Any questions you want to ask the people around you? There are thousands of people in here thronging about, milling about. It's loud. It's, you know, got that great din of voices moving around. There's a great many people here. A lot of them enjoying fine cuisine. Some sort of just open air cafes, those sorts of things.
I'm wondering what business I want to introduce as a Nellon's business. Because I imagine there's, you know, there's a lot of different ones. Taylor. I am proposing that there is a Nellon's related tailor here for you know, many fine silken wares, as well as, given that we're getting more northward, wares of very fine felt and wool, and that is where I would like to have Kenbish go for her first attempt to kind of question business assets.
Taylor. The tailor that Kenbish knows is on the 3rd stratum here.
Alrighty.
Would you be going alone, or would you wish us to accompany you?
I'm perfectly happy to have Comey and Nemo's accompany if they are, unless there's other stuff either of y'all guys want to have your characters do. Kenbish is certainly not going to discourage her companions from coming along.
Well,
I was gonna say Comey is gonna come along anyway, since you said 3rd stratus, a 3rd floor, and you mentioned this, the temple's at the top, so this is on the way.
Yeah.
Nemos will be annotating his map as they walk, like filling in like different locations of the various businesses, and also trying to fill in any details that he's remembered through his various readings.
Okay. Sorry. Oh gosh. So, you're all going to the tailor?
Let's all go to the tailor.
So the tailor you come across is named Nellen Saran. She is a fairly humble sort. When you come in, she seems to have a lot of show about her. When you first enter, she's like, come in, you know, sort of instantly sort of looking you up and down, assessing you, and as you begin to have conversations, she's always flitting about the store, sort of finding a garment or other to sort of just hold out and sort of consider upon you before going, no, not that one, and sort of tucking it back and finding a different one. I'm gonna find a voice for this woman. Yes, please, come in.
And Kenbish comes in, and she ushers her friends in as well.
Welcome to my humble store. My name is Nellen Saran. And she sort of bows a deep bow towards you.
Another member of the family. Just what I was looking for. I am Nellen's Kenbish myself. I travel with the esteemed Little Mountain Selesakomi and the esteemed Nemostak. So, how has business been?
Oh, you have flattered me with your wonderful introduction. Thank you, and thank you for gracing me with your presence. And as she's sort of bowing, she holds out her hand to sort of take yours and essentially kiss the ring.
And Kenbish allows that, of course.
Business has been good. Business has been fine. Is there any type of business you wish to discuss most? A tailor shop is always good for discussing discreetly things. She sort of is considering some different clothes and things, and then sort of ushers you over towards a table to sort of stand up on top of her while she starts taking some measurements.
And as Kenbish stands up, and she's very familiar with getting measured for clothes, and she's standing up there, and actually it's I was quite sure your business would be doing quite well. Actually, about the general business climate, I wanted to ask, since, well, tailors are often in the know. Specifically, I've heard there's a new source of produce in this town. They used to be getting it all from down nice little village down south, but evidently I've heard about a new source they've acquired from off the island. Have any of your clients dropped any hints about that?
Oh, I'm just a humble tailor, but you'd be surprised what some people would say in front of someone who they consider otherwise invisible to them. So, if you question her about the business, she's just going to start talking to you about it. She's not looking to sell secrets here, she's just passing on information to one of the family. And you can tell that she's checked that you're one of the family by considering you're one of the insignias on one of your rings, that sort of thing. That's how she's easily identified you, as she would have when she kissed the ring. That's part of that sort of social convention. So she explains that she's heard some of when some of the Marines have come through, they've been discussing that there was a kingdom up north that is maybe a day's sail away, that sort of has control over some vast farmland up there, and they've been sort of recently conquered, and they have been taking their tribute from them as of food rather than of actual payment of sort of other rich resources and jade and things. So they the quality of food hasn't really changed at all or anything like that. It's just Cessus has taken control of some of a satrapy across the Northern Sea, and they have decided to basically keep business in the house.
Of course.
The Pelops aren't hugely worried about it because the villages that they were getting this food from originally is still technically part of Cessus land anyway, but it looks like they're pushing their interests across the sea rather than doing it in-house on the Isle, probably to gain a foothold somewhere, but that's all just guesswork.
I can't say I'm terribly surprised. How well and good for Cessus, but afraid the villagers aren't having the best time of it, although my friends and I have made a few modest investments that should do well by the village. After all, if their produce isn't going up here, I figured it may as well go to businesses within the family. There's really never any. There's really always at least some call for fine produce, and having tasted the fruits of their rice wine making personally, I can certainly vouch for that. Anyway, thank you very much for this insight. I'm sure we'll be able to make very good use of it. And while that's going on, she's looking at Little Mountain, and she's just like, she's just trying to remember are on their clothing. She's like, do you get new robes? She's like, eventually I'm going to have to get this girl a calibration present. And what do you get someone who's taken a vow of poverty? You can only get someone the Immaculate Text so many times. But and has definitely taken that information into account while
sorry to interrupt. I don't suppose Nemus would take off a particularly fetching dress. I don't suppose you have these in, and he rattles off some measurements. Would you, or by any chance?
Did you say a fetching dress?
Yes, yes. He's holding a dress. It's quite fetching.
The measurements that you give, she says she doesn't have anything in that exact size, but it wouldn't take her very long to do some modifications.
That's most fantastic that you could fit us in on such notice. I'm sure that it'd be most appreciated. It's quite fine craftsmanship, and it looks beautiful.
It is, and it does. Will you be staying somewhere within the Great Mountain, or are you lodged outside?
I must confess that we've had a little bit of trouble with getting a good guide to the city, so if it wouldn't be too much of an imposition, maybe you can make some recommendations. He looks apologetic to Kembish for this slight informal way of greeting one of his house members, still not completely clued in with the great house's etiquette. Yeah.
Sorry, was Kenbish interjecting, or?
Not especially yet. At the moment, she figures he's fine. Although she does definitely plan to interject if a problem seems to come up, but she figures so far he's doing all right.
You get the impression that he may. It's very hard to tell with Nemos, but he may be playing up certain points of the lost person that needs business advice, newcomer to the city. He may be playing up certain aspects to keep their cover intact, but you're not completely sure whether that's Nemos as usual, a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B, but he is certainly fitting the cover story quite well at this point, whether by design or accident.
He is, as always, adorably oblivious.
Quite.
Oh, well, if you're looking for guides to the city, then who better than the city guard themselves? They know this place like the back of their proverbial hands.
But I think forgive an outsider and is probably a foolish thing, but wouldn't that put us in a precarious situation, as I am assuming that choosing a guard would be like perhaps choosing either Helips or Sisters in this. That could lead to all sorts of misunderstandings where, innocent mistake of like choosing one particular guard over other could maybe overspill into all sorts of misconceptions, and we're doing our best to avoid any issues while staying in here.
If the guard doesn't take your fancy, then one of the many mercenaries in the one of the many mercenaries in the coat of arms might be able to help.
Additionally, we would be very grateful if you could also recommend the best lodgings within the mountain. I do believe we'd prefer to stay in here. Better to be close at hand to all things needed by the Dragon-Blooded, such as the finest tailors. And she gives a little smile because you don't not butter up your family.
Would we have the fortunateness to be our arrival coinciding with any particularly prominent social function that we may obviously be invited to attend, as we, of course, are those touched by the dragons? And he looks to Little Mountain to finish the sentence, as he has often done.
graced.
Grace, of course. Yes.
Well, if you're looking for prestigious lodgings, will get you the attention of the upper crust. Might I suggest passing upstairs on the? They have the best lodgings on the second highest tier of the Omphalos, just below the Immaculate Temple itself, as it happens.
Out of character, I'm just like, wait. Is that is the same name as the military academy for outcasts, right?
Passing upstairs.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's actually constant competition between Passive Stare and the House of Bells to see who can actually produce the best generals.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Dragon poop.
Dragon poop.
Passiaps.
Guano.
Passiaps. Hilton.
Passiap's ramp.
Passiap's escalator.
Passiaps. No, it's Passiaps finished basement.
Yeah, I thought that was a good name too. Darn it.
Yeah.
So good, they already thought of it. As that's going on,
Mountain Stair.
Good.
There we go.
Nemos will go to his box, his traveling case he's been carrying around, open it up, and go through some several organized little holding things, and go. Oh, it's a custom where I come from, that new introductions, and obviously, being that you're a family of I've got a gift for you. If it's not too much of informality or too formality, please tell me which. Would be honored to present you with this. And he pulls out a series of notes that he's copied of stylings, historical stylings of clothing that he just happened to sketch out of one of the tombs when he was doing his research on prominent dragon-blooded sorcerers, and the styles, some of these more elaborate and interesting ones that had caught his eye, more for the stylings, as they had nothing to do with actual occult functionality. He thought it was interesting and wanted to look back at the history of why somebody would look at that but didn't have time. And so he thought that perhaps a tailor would be more appreciative of such. So,
can I just confirm something with you, Plucky? Because sometimes you've said it and it sounds definitely like you're trying to say tome as in book. Other times it's been a bit ambiguous. Do you mean tomb as in grave, or tome as in book? Okay. Right.
I mean, it's just parchments that he's copied out of some.
Okay.
Book.
All right.
Scroll, scripture,
okay, no, that's fine.
Repository of knowledge.
I just thought I'd check because
he hasn't got grave robbing gone. Oh, this is leave us on
grave robbing for knitting patterns.
Yeah, Nevis, I don't think we should be doing this. Well, I've heard your opinion, but I think that the truth must win out. So, no.
Nemos just has a magical bag with wonderful things in it.
It's stocked full of loads of assortments of various.
Fantastic.
She takes it graciously and. This reminds me of when I once served as a gardener to the Immaculate Consulate down in a town whose name I've now forgotten off the top of my head. One moment.
Don't worry, this happens a lot. We've recently frequented a lovely village, and I can't remember its name. So.
Yes, just centuries of dragon-blooded inbreeding has left all of us with terrible memory.
Oh no.
Nemos would rattle on about gardening while she tries to remember. Garden too. Oh, we must perhaps, if we have time, talk about it. I'm quite a fan of the craft. Have a small hobby for and he puts to his miniature trees.
It. Oh, okay. Just had it.
How many trees do you have?
Sion. Sion.
Sion.
How delightful.
And she regales you with a story of seemingly little significance. About how, you know, someone had once given her a gift and it was nice and pleasant and had, you know, unexpected uses down the track that, you know, managed to, you know, help her out of a tight spot. And oh, that reminds me. And she sort of finishes, you know, wrapping in this delicate rice paper, a coloured rice paper, a package, and sort of seals it up, ties it up with a ribbon, and hands it over to Kenbish. Says, something for the road to keep off the chill.
Thank you very much. And I'm kind of wondering whether it's a thing where Kenbish should pay up front, or if it's like a gift thing. Offering payment would be kind of gauche.
What do you think?
That's why I'm like,
Do you have lore 3?
I do not have lore 3.
Oh darn.
Nemos and your moose ears.
I was going to say, this is like the essence of Dragonblood, and I feel it's like, what is the social etiquette of the situation?
But you know what I do have that I wonder if this could be applicable. Let's see. I wonder if I could use Confluence of Savant Thought, which is basically using bureaucracy to introduce a fact about a bureaucratic or mercantile organization she belongs to or is familiar with.
That sounds like it would be applicable.
Alright. I think it says 2 motes. And do I propose the fact first, or do I make the roll first?
You propose the fact, I set the difficulty, then you make the roll.
Oh, okay. The fact I'm proposing is that between Nellen's businesses and often within the family, gift giving is it's not so much explicit gift giving, but it's, often they'll sort of they'll kind of do you a favor if you're another member of the family who's visiting, and you don't so much pay as you return. You reciprocate by doing a favor for them in kind through your business, or through getting another business to basically do something good for them. So basically, it would be protocol for Kenbish to, rather than pay or anything, basically it would be expected for Kenbish to, say, do her some about equivalent in scope business type favor, a little ways down the line, like perhaps and like something, trying to wangle her some extra good deals with her fabric distributors or something like that.
Sort of like a Nellen's pay it forward.
Yeah, like a lot of favor trading.
Yeah, okay. I could put that difficulty too.
Okay, and so that's gonna be bureaucracy. So that's gonna be 7 dice. And I'm going to attempt this roll. Come on, dice.
While Beans is rolling that, what is Little Mountain been up to? What is she thinking of this shock? What's her like demeanor?
Well, I mean, she's probably walking around looking at these things. She's normally not used to seeing the like fineries in a store and things like that. She's normally, going to temples or doing prayer sermons for the peasantry, things like that. Because that's what the monks are for. When peasants are, when it comes time for prayer, the monks are the ones that offer the prayer. So this is new to her. Like, this is she's just kind of taking it all in. I mean, it's not like she hasn't seen finery before, but just seeing, oh, this is what a very fancy store looks like.
The Saren actually approaches you whilst Kenbish is sort of just taking hold of his gift and just asks, is there anything that catches your eye, little monk?
Oh, it's all wonderful, but I mean, our vows, we cannot, we must keep to a simple lifestyle. But this is very lovely, and you should be absolutely proud. Your work is amazing. It's exquisitely detailed.
Oh, why, thank you. But I'm sure a little colour here, a dash of threading there, would not be too amiss, would it?
Well, at this point, it depends. I'm only a second coil monk. We aren't allowed to apply the coloring until we get to at least the third coil.
Oh, forgive me. I meant no offence, eh?
Oh, none. No offense was taken. Not everybody is familiar with the rankings within the order.
Well, if there was nothing further, I think I have some more customers on the way. And you can see her make a gesture, and some more people come in through the door.
And with that, Kenbish, she nods to her family member and thanks her graciously for her time and the lovely chat, as well as the gift, which she tucks under her arm, and kind of ushers her pals out to make room for the new guests, and kind of gets them out of the tailor shop and a bit away before turning to them. Well, for now, I think we should arrange our lodgings, and then, in the privacy of which I believe we can discuss further our solution to the situation.
Maybe we could visit up to the temple before we settle in on lodgings. I was actually thinking I was going to stay there for the evening, because just meditate before we continue our mission in the morning.
Oh, of course.
So you're going up to the temple?
Yes.
Yes.
All
quite.
together?
Yep.
Yes, I'm quite ignorant of the as much as I'd like to be, so I'd relish the opportunity to learn a bit more.
As I mentioned before, the temple takes up the highest tier. It's actually, when you sort of climb up, it's open to the air outside. There's this wonderful fanning garden surrounding it on all sides. It tapers open. For there's several layers of gardens to take place. The whole ground floor is sort of this spotted stone pathway over these brilliant white, small white rocks that are sort of immaculately raked into Zen-like patterns. The temple itself is a large wooden structure on the southern side of this open area. There are a few monks you can see around who are just tending to the gardens, two more are sort of making the rounds, sort of changing the raked patterns into the stones. Anyone who has an eye for detail can notice that the pathway the pathway that you open out into towards the shrine is reminiscent of the 10,000 steps, a pilgrimage that a lot of the Immaculate Order make at least once a decade up the side of the Great Imperial Mountain itself, to visiting the shrines along the way. So this is sort of that in miniature, just a replication of it, for partially aesthetics, but also for like the symbolism of the journey you take to get to the temple itself.
Right. Meanwhile, as they're going up, like Mountain, since presumably if they heard about it, Mountain actually explaining the concept of the coils as well, like how at the first coil, that's when you get your monk name, such as the first was Little Mountain, which was meant to be a play on words, but she wears it as a symbol of it's one of the few things she wears with pride. Second coil is when you are allowed to reclaim your old name, that sort of thing. And she points it out, like the steps and everything, pointing out the symbolic gesture on the temple setups and everything, any form of symbolism that is in the architecture and everything. Just trying to help Nemos understand more about the buildup of the immaculate philosophy and the Immaculate Order itself. So as she gets in, there are I would like to introduce just a small fact. This is just something that's a little thing. It's customary to say a small sutra before you enter, and after you cross the threshold, you say another sutra in the temple.
Okay, we'll just introduce that one for free, and you can lead it if you like.
Yep. All right. So she goes. Her sutra starts going with air, fire, water, wood, surrounding earth. We travel these routes, climbing the mountain, and then when you enter in, she comes back, and through each threshold, we begin the cycle anew.
Oh, take your expression bonus.
Yay!
Yay.
Inside the temple itself, as soon as you sort of slide open the great doorways, step across the floor in here is this wonderfully sort of polished lacquer wood floor of this deep dark brown. You can tell that it's been sort of soaked in resin and sort of cleaned and polished every single day. It almost shines like a mirror. It is sort of so brilliantly kept. But you can hear this pattern. And then, you know that sound that the great sort of metal bowls make when you have the big cushion mallet thing and you rub it around the rim, and it just does that. Ooh.
Oh yeah, the Tibetan singing bowl.
Yeah.
I've got one of them. Do you want a demonstration? Like after the break, maybe, folks.
Mountain leads them in. She seems to take a deep breath, like taking this in, because like this is home to her. This is what is considered comforting. It's a sense of for her, it's a sense of what's right. And she first off, do either of them have any questions for her? Because she's happy to answer them for them. For
the sense of the stream, and like Nemus will have countless questions, but I don't think we need to let
no, I know.
Maybe taking notes.
No, just to see, like, as she's leading them in, she's very patient with him, very calm, very as one would put it, centered with herself. Like this seems like she's in her, another pun, element. But yeah, she begins answering these questions as she seeks out another member so that she might be able to find the temple's abbot.
Yes, and who might run such a place like this? Do they have a particular title?
She mentions to him that would usually be the abbot. We usually refer to them as honored one, revered one. It's what happens when you reach to at least the third coil in the order.
Would the abbot wear any identifying clothing, marks, giant sombreros, such and such?
Sombrero.
Is that
mariachi abbot.
the hat with a bit of large rim?
No.
Once you get to the third coil, stuff gets crazy.
While Mountain's robe is hempen, a third coil will wear a robe of soft linen. If it's dyed to reflect the monk's devotion to a given immaculate dragon. Green for Sextilis, white for Passaic, black for Dynast, etc., etc.
Yeah, Dynast, right. So, as this pattern continues, sort of lead them in through the front area. Now, answer me honestly, who took off their shoes?
Well, Mountain doesn't wear shoes.
Kenbish took off her shoes because, you know, she was raised on the Isle, and she is, you know, familiar enough. I feel like between the two of us, we might have corrected our sorcery boy if he forgot to take his darn old shoes off.
He would have taken off his boots when he saw the others doing so. Absolutely.
Okay. Lead them forward through this front area. There are a bunch of maybe 6 monks, sort of on little prayer mats, sort of just basically prostrate.
Oh, do you wish me to examine that? It looks quite painful, actually.
What is with the games I get in and this being a thing? This is also what happens in my Thursday games.
What, specifically prostates?
Yes. I will tell you about Dr. Sensei after the game.
Returning to the gravity of the moment. Returning to the gravity of the moment. They are prostrate. Most of them here actually are wearing not the linen clothing. There is a mixture of the various dragon colors here. When mention of the abbot is made, one of the monks finishes their prayer and just slowly stands and potters over to another door and just slides it open and ushers you inside. When you step in, you see the abbot there, also prostrate. He is wearing not quite a rainbow cloak, but it incorporates the spectrum of the colors. showing no specific devotion other than his general devotion to all of the dragons. And kneeling on the floor about 4 feet ahead of him is this very large, broad-shouldered man. The musculature of his body sort of so lean you can see every slight muscle and twitch within him. There's not an ounce of fat on him. It's this great big broad shoulders, close cropped hair, and he's sitting there. His robe has been opened up, sort of revealing his torso in bare. And there's a monk on the side with who has, cupped his robes up and has hold the dongle thing. I actually don't know what it's called, above the singing bowl. He's there with a whip, and with every ring of the bowl, he whips himself 4 times, twice over each shoulder. Then the prayer bowl sings again. He whips himself again. You're left there waiting. Door slides shut behind you. He makes no sign of stopping.
With the lore roll, would I be able to know what rite this might be, if anything?
It's a general purification rite, basically like you had a naughty thought once and you flagellate yourself. This seems to have no specific like he's not calling out his failings or praying to the dragons, he's just flagellating himself continually. The whip, cuts at his skin, but he is sturdy. His back isn't exactly scarred, but it is strong, almost calloused, so the whip barely makes a dent into his skin. You can see the crisscross marks of years and years and years of doing this.
Mountain knows better than to interrupt a rite or anything like that. She merely does did you say he was facing us or away?
He's facing away from you. You can only see his back as he whips himself.
Ah, I see. And like, is he sitting or is he like standing as he does this?
He's on his knees.
On his knees. Would there be any like mats or anything nearby? Like sometimes I know in like things like there would be a place where if somebody were to come in but not interrupt, they could walk in and kneel down at a mat next to them until properly addressed and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so she makes her way forward and kneels, hands on knees, facing forward until properly addressed.
I'm gonna say that Ken Bish very specifically she motions to Nemos to basically to stay silent and wait, and basically to and kind of like nods at Comey because let her take the lead. She's an immaculate. She knows all the protocol. So let's basically just hang back and stay silent, because she's pretty sure they shouldn't interrupt. Given that she grew up with the faith, but she doesn't know all the protocols quite as much as Comey does. So she's just kind of going to hang back and stay silent and not interrupt.
Nemos?
Nemos is staying uncharacteristically silent at his and like hanging back.
You stand, kneel on a mat, sit.
I will follow suit of Kembish Nellens in this regard.
I'm not actually sure if should I make a lore roll to determine if she like should know whether she should kneel or stand.
Comey has knelt down upon a mat next to the abbot.
Yeah, you know what, she's gonna kneel because it's like, you know what, that seems like it's generally safe to follow the lead of the actual Immaculate. So she kneels very quietly and she is prepared to just kind of wait it out. Although her eyes do kind of glide over the scene, just kind of taking it all in.
Okay. I would like you all to make a stamina plus resistance roll.
Oh man, I'm good at this.
The difficulty is 2, and you need a total of 10 successes.
Alright.
Your terminus is 3, which means you only get 3 rolls.
Well, I'm not horrible at this.
Is this to do with plant-based toxins by any chance?
No.
All right. Okay. Oh.
What was the difficulty?
The difficulty is 2, so if you meet the difficulty, that's 1 success towards the 10.
Wow. Yeah. Good luck, folks.
All right. So I have my first roll. I have gotten nothing.
Okay.
I am going to stunt how I stand still. Yes, this is a thing I can do. Being that she herself is a practitioner of the Earth Dragon style, one of the very charms is called Unmoving Mountain Stance. She begins channeling herself in such a way to be as unyielding as the Earth itself, like the almost under her breath, almost silent cone gets channeled as she allows herself to be as the mountain, unmoving, unyielding, always there.
I like that. I'll give you 1 point stun.
Sweet.
Since I already made the first roll, does that bar me from attempting to make a stunt of my own, or?
No, if you want to stunt it now, you can just add the dice on to the roll.
All right. So after whatever the first non-successful roll represents, and noticing that Mountain is kind of getting into the zone, she instead calls on her own martial art, but rather than the solidity of Earth, she calls on sort of the grace of the Dreaming Pearl courtesan to essentially to kind of relax the right sets of muscles so that her body is more at ease and more easily able to just kind of be sort of quiet and still without putting too much strain on her body.
Cool. I'll give you 1 point stun.
All right, thank you.
I got 7 total successes, so 6 towards the goal.
I have 2 successes towards the 10 after 3 rolls, so.
All right. Oh, okay. I have. So. 5.
Make my second one.
Okay. So I have I'm 2 rolls in, and I have a total of 4 successes. And then I'm gonna make my final roll.
That was 8 from what I can see.
Yep.
And
I only got 4 out of the required 10
Okay.
after all my rolls.
I am going to, for the final one, just as Mountain just continues to do it, she just channels some willpower into it.
Okay.
Because it's a RP bot. There we go.
Eight, 9, 10, 11 in total.
Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately for Nemes and Kenbish, Comey is the only one who was able to endure all 3 hours of this ceremony.
Oy.
You poor. I am.
Eventually, your body stiffened, and you need to sort of adjust so that your legs don't fall asleep. The constant pattern ringing of the singing bell is lulling in its rhythmic pattern. The whipping, while a striking sound starts to dull into the distance, and you can feel fatigue overcome you. When you eventually wake from your reverie, the man who was whipping himself has finished, but has turned to face you, and looks down upon the pair of you with so much scorn that you can almost feel it burrowing into your skin and burning your bones from within. The abbot begs on your behalf. Forgive them, Senior Catholic Canaan.
Oh.
They are not used to such rites. Canaan places the whip on the floor in front of you. And that's where we'll take our first break today.
Heck.
Good. Oh man, Catholic Canaan, and that's a devoted dude.
For those of you who might not be in the know, yeah, it is a bit of a name drop, Vay. Sorry to do this to you guys so early, but you decided to come up here. Little Mountain, care to explain who Catholic Canaan is?
Catholic Canaan is the current head of House Catholic. One of the few matriarchs who's male, and he graduated despite being a military general. He graduated from the Cloister of Wisdom, but he did not himself become an Immaculate Monk, though he maintains a strong devotion to the philosophy and the order itself. He himself, while does not have aspirations for the Scarlet Throne, but many would like to see him on the throne. A strong hand to guide the realm.
And on that, we'll take our break. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back in about 10 to 15 minutes. And welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for waiting there for us. So, our group have climbed up to the top area in the Ivory Omphalos Victorious. They have stopped by a Nellen's tailor on the way, been given a present, and then gone to the Immaculate Temple at the very height of the Omphalos. Stepping in through, learning some lessons from their little mountain, Zalis Komi, they enter into the temple to find a broad-shouldered, well-muscled man flagellating himself. They try to stay with the ceremony for the full 3 hours, but unfortunately Nellens, Kenbish, and Toak Nemos aren't able to hold themselves together long enough to see it through to the end. This great man, identified by the abbot here of the shrine as Catholic Canaan, his great and venerable honor, casts the whip down in front of you, or places the whip down in front of you, and steps aside, giving no order, but waiting. Yo. Moose hands.
Alright.
Nellens, did you want to go first, or should I?
Well, when you say in front of us, is it more in front of one or the other, or is it just kind of there?
Precisely in the center.
I hate you, Grandpa. Fucking fire, Grandpa. Alright,
He's not your grandpa.
He's a grandpa.
He'd be like
He's
a great uncle
grandpa.
or something.
Possibly somewhere down the line.
He's a grandpa, and that makes him a grandpa. Fuck it, Kenbish. She leans over toward Mountain and kind of murmurs. How many lashes would you estimate?
Mountain actually does take a moment to this is really weird because like Kanan's legendary and she's just like, oh, I don't want them to have to do this, but at the same time, oh, you don't turn down Catholic Kanan.
Am I detecting hesitation in Kenbish, Nellens?
You know what? No, she's like, you know what? Because she knows his reputation, and she's like, there's like, or like there, she like, if there's hesitation, it's like the kind where you kind of know you're gonna do this anyway. So she's mostly just like, you know what? She's kind of trying to just like power through, and kind of get back some brownie points, through, by that way. So not really hesitating.
So what are you going to do?
Well, she asked. Well, that's why she first asked.
Let's see. Given they have never, given by their attire, they like one could probably guess they have never been in the temple before, or not in the temple before. Never been part of the order. Mountain can't make a socialize roll on him on Kanan because I have no socialize. I mean, I could, but it'd be horrible. Because there's no way I could beat him. That.
Nemos will move his eye ever so slightly to catch Little Mountains and give a very meek smile to try and assure her that we'd be fine and not to worry unnecessarily about us.
Also, while Mountain is thinking, Kenbish is taking up the whip and kind of just like holding it and giving it a look over because she's kind of familiar with whips because that's a form weapon. But you go on.
I got it. We're gonna go with the number that you really can't fail with in Exalted because it's such an auspicious number. 5, 1 for each of the elements.
Cool. And she's just like, I imagine interposing clothing between the lash and one's skin rather spoils the effect.
Is that asking me, or are you asking Little Mountain?
She's asking. She's again murmuring to.
Okay.
The Mountain.
Mountain herself, say she would give a rather solemn nod. If anyone's looking at it, because again, Mountain wears herself on her sleeves. She was not anticipating Kanan being here. She is like anybody could basically pass with a difficulty one social check. That she is just like, I've brought my friends into a terrible situation. I'm a terrible friend.
All right, and so she kind of like unfastens some things and kind of like slips off her robe and her underrobe kind of off her shoulders, and so she's basically just got on like a chest wrap, and which is basically just like a strip of cloth that's been wound around, and she does keep that on, just kind of,
That's a modesty thing.
Yeah, and also like don't want to give the monks more things to worry about. So she's just like, she kind of holds the whip and she kind of grips it, and she's kind of like, she is kind of mildly kind of pissed, but she's kind of channeling that into dealing with this. So she makes sure she's gonna kind of scoot away just so that no one else is kind of in danger of getting like hit by a stray like strand or whatever, and she'll fucking start atoning. Do I need to make like some sort of roll or something in that regard?
Now, sorry, yes, Kel?
I was actually gonna say, like, just as she's about to, Mountain actually intervenes and says, "Please allow me to take this. I brought them here. It was me who asked to see the abbot. It was no intention to interrupt the ceremony. Please allow me to take this in their stead."
Nemos, did you have a moose here?
No. Nemes looks up. He did have his head bow. He will look up as if he wishes to say something, but knows that to do so would be a break of etiquette, and so waits to be addressed. But he certainly makes it clear that he does have something to say on the matter.
Kanan inclines his head to Comey. We all do what we feel we must.
Mountain gives a nod and a very a deep bow to him, like being, yes, this guy is revered among the order. Is very he's practically an honorary llama at this point. But
yes, he doesn't actually hold station in the order at all.
No, he does not. Anything within there would be would be purely honorary, just due to this is one of the things that Mountain would understand, is because everybody in the order has heard of Captain Kanan. Like they know the veteran Shikari, leader of many wild hunts. So she gives a bow. I meant no disrespect upon bringing them. We had not realized that you would be here. We tried to just allow you to continue your right in silence. Unfortunately, not everyone has taken the same training as we have. So please, if you would allow me to perform this in their stead.
Your compatriot looks like he has something to say.
I mean, he always has something to say. Mountain glances over at Nemos.
Speak then, youngling.
With the greatest of respect, I feel that if I was to take up the whip, I would be doing the same mistake as Sharan did in the story of Imran in Sharam. I would like to introduce a fact that there was a historical story known about Iraman and Sharam. Sharam being a very impetuous young dragon blood, and Sharam taking on a sort of it's not really widely known if this story actually happened. As often, dragon-blooded stories are symbolic in metaphors for real-life examples, where Sharam was constantly frustrated by this impetuous youth's boldness in trying to do everything that Sharam could do, but better, and would do so and not only put the pair of them at risk or end up worse off. And so the goal of Sharam would be to teach this young dragon blood the lesson that there are many paths, that the dragons teach several paths, and to presume that you must go down and be better than another dragon blood in a path is foolish pride, and that is not what the dragons are about. In fact, the dragons are about teamwork and recognizing the differences and trying to learn from each other's differences so you can work symbiotically towards a goal and still honor them by trying to emulate these paragons of greatness. And so Nemos, knowing that it would be very prideful to assume that he could do a task that his body's not suited for, instead chooses to recite the knowledge passed on by Little Mountain, and what he's learned from this, maybe falsely believing this is a lesson that can be learned to help him on the path of becoming more exemplar in the lessons of the dragons. So he will say, so you see that it would be, I feel the little knowledge I've been taught by graciously by Little Mountain here, that I'd be a liberal churls who to follow this tradition blindly without truly understanding the wisdom of such. And I feel that I am more suited perhaps to sharing knowledge that I get, perhaps like as Phystaps, he who eliminates both worlds and majesty and power, teaches that and perhaps avoid the pitfalls of being an ostentatious peasant, one who gathers up treasure, knowledge, and skill, and spends her life extracting wealth from that knowledge without repaying society by passing it on. I have learned lots in this brief visit to the this temple, and I look forward to learning more. But I apologize for any slight I made. I am fully confess my ignorance and humbly request leniency on my trespasses. But I would not wish to be a sorry, give me a second. A manly babbler and whine for others to fix their problems. This is a problem that I have made myself and not of Little Mountain's making, and I wish to resolve it on my own merit, as Dynast just teaches us to strive to do, or the teachings of Dynast. Forgive me again for my ignorance.
Okay, I will give you a 2-point stunt for your introduced facts. The difficulty is only 1, so you automatically pass. And I'll give you your expression bonus.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Also, good use of dropping name drop there. Liberal churl and unmanly babbler, antithesis of Hesiod and Dynast, respectively.
I kind of assumed that Little Mountain would have, at least when going through, perhaps like explained these like base of lessons. I assume these are like, very common. So yeah, so I thought that was very like in keeping with Nemesis's response to the situation and the notes he was taking earlier.
I like it. Bravo.
Question is, does the person I've offended like it? That's the important thing, I guess. I don't want to get you in more trouble with people you clearly respect.
Is this an honest display?
Yes. Nemos is being very honest. This is no attention to manipulation. He believes that this is the right part to be humble. He's clearly made a mistake, and he clearly knows his limits of his skills and abilities.
The one who claims ignorance. You are well versed in our I can't think of the word.
Scripture?
Yeah, scripture, catechism.
Tradition.
Nomenclature. How do you pronounce that word?
Nomenclature.
Nomenclature. I am impressed, little one, he mentions to Comey. Not many seek to pass on the teachings with such vigor. But I would never ask someone to undertake a trial they did not think themselves fit or worthy of. Your friend took the whip proffered. I admire your devotion. But their discipline is their own, and you cannot bear it for them.
Takes a deep breath and gives a bow. You are right, of course.
Let this be a lesson to you, Shark of Touche. Do not think to stand above your station, or partake in tasks beyond your reach. You have clasped it now. Do with it as you will, and we'll see how far your discipline stretches.
All right, and she kind of glances up at him and kind of bows her head. Very well, what? Just assume she addresses him with an appropriate title, because I don't know what would you even address him with as a title?
Well, he's a general. He has no official standing in. You could call him matriarch, I suppose.
I guess she will call him that, and she's just gonna go at it. She's gonna begin this heckin' hit yourself with a whip atonement.
All right. Let's make this really quick. Can you please make 5 very quick resistance plus stamina rolls?
Okay.
Anytime you fail, you will deal damage to yourself.
Alrighty.
And the difficulty's only 1.
Alrighty. Alright, the first one.
Success. Next one.
Success. Actually, I'm gonna just copy that code so I can.
Copy pasta. Oh, nice.
Yes.
Oh,
Alright.
that's a super success.
Just like it's like, and then the second time is just like she super duper tanks it. So 1, 2. So the third one worked. The fourth one worked. All right, I managed all 5.
Okay. Now, this whip that you're whipping yourself with is like braided leather. Knotted braided leather. So it's not quite a cat of 9 tails. It doesn't sort of have spikes or gougy bits in it, but it is knotted. So it hurts when you crack it upon your skin. Now, you do crack it pretty hard, leaving superficial bruising across your back. That same crisscross pattern. But you're able to withstand the brunt of it and never break skin.
And actually, just a quick check. Is Dragon-Blooded having tattoos a thing that is yes or no?
I don't think there's a rule against it, as far as I'm aware.
There's no rule against it.
All right. Well, interestingly, when she takes off, when she bears everything but kind of the portion covered by the chest wrap, there's actually noticeable some rather interesting tattoos, like basically if I said like the kind Yakuza have, where it's the with the carp and stuff, and they're situated such that while you're clothed they're not really visible, but so they're kind of on the sleeve areas in the back. Yeah, those were there. But so and so they come out of it with some red raised marks, and bruises are gonna start forming. But you know, she pulls through, and you know, with every crack, she's kind of her own kind of anger at the situation. She's kind of pouring back into her ability to withstand it. And that finished, she places it down on the ground and kind of pulls her clothing, her robes back up, and fastens them again, and kind of bows her head, and is just kind of silent for now.
You took that well. And I compliment you on your discipline. Sort of bows to the abbot, like gets down on his hands and knees and touches head to the floor, bows to the abbot. It is time I continue my journey. I appreciate you. Gosh, words fail me.
Harboring, hospitality. Starts with an H.
That, not patronize, but like put up with.
Patronage? No.
Accommodate?
We'll say accommodation. I'll appreciate your accommodation of my whims. Touches his head to the floor before standing again. As he leaves, he sort of places his broad hand on top of Comey's head. Pausing. You do yourself proud. Keep up the good work. Before striding out, sort of pulling his own robe up and sticking his hands back in through the sleeves. Striding out. A couple of the monks around sort of standing up as well. And now that they're standing, you notice that they are armed. And they stride out with him.
When he does that, Mountain, little, again, very honestly, visibly blushes and everything at that, because Kane Fire Grandpa just gave her one heck of a compliment there.
After a few moments, the abbot rises and sort of gives you all a short bow. This guy is old. I mean, Canaan is like 3 centuries old, but you could barely tell. Or the dragon's blood runs so strongly within him. This abbot is probably bordering 50 to 60, and he's visibly old, so he's more than likely mortal. He just bows to you and asks, what can this humble temple do for you?
Mountain gives a bow back, and she introduces herself. I am the second coil monk, Little Mountain. I've come here with my companions. We are on an investigatory mission here. I wished to make our presence known, as it's a polite thing to do, and I myself would like to seek lodging in the temple tonight, if that is all right, if there is room.
Yes, of course. There is always room for the faithful. Will your friends join?
She glances over to the others, probably a little bit nervously thinking, since they probably think, holy crap, Mountain's into weird. They're like, oh no, their friend's into weird, freaky stuff. The order is freaky.
You must look to Kembish to see if we will be
I believe we will not be taking our accommodations within the temple, but we will be quite nearby, I assure you. And thereby blessed by being in convenient proximity to the tutelage and oversight of the Immaculate Order. You can tell she doesn't super want to be here at the moment. Not so much I want to leave right now, but it's like she's like, all right, I fucking hit myself with a whip. I am there, there's a definite limit on how much longer I want to stay here right now.
Sensing Kembish's apprehension, he says, spurred on your kind hospitality, but I believe it would be awfully sickly horror of me if I didn't use my natural healing gifts in helping somebody in the community. So, I believe Kembish has kindly offered to assist me in that regard, and I also think I should probably take a look at those wounds as well. Although, if you do have need of a healer, I of course feel it would be rude of me not to offer.
You're kind, but not currently. Please see to your business as you need. Little Mountain. Would you like to perform tonight's sacred rites? You have done this temple honor. I would like to repay that in kind.
It would be my honor to do so.
We will get you prepared.
Thank you.
Good evening. And good evening. As he sort of just puts out a hand to sort of lightly touch the Comey's back and lead her away.
Would it be too rude to inquire when these ceremonies are happening, and what time? Because and if it's permissible, as we join them if we finish our remedying the sick, because it sounds like a great honor, and I wish to be there to support my friend Little Mountain in such a working of honor, I guess. Lacking a word to. Or is such things private? I understand completely if they are. I mean, no disrespect.
No, we'll begin at 4th candle and go through until sunrise. AKA 4 AM to 8.
Oh, okay. Guess we should not take up any more of your valuable time. Thank you very much. It's been enlightening.
Good day.
And Candice will bow and rise, and she will not waste very much time in leaving. She's not rushing, but she's sort of at a modest pace, but very deliberately. Her time to be here right now has ended.
Yeah.
granted, as before you leave, like, and before she gets completely away, Mountain does the glance back thing, and at cameras, like, you can very visibly see.
I think like the audio cut out and I missed about.
I was doing. I was mouthing. I was hoping you could read. Like it was. I'm sorry.
Oh. And
Just mouthing it.
She and Kenbish. You know what? Kenbish just gives her a wink, and then is Audi 5000.
Nemos would be trying to keep pace and also trying to assess the which healing ointment would be the best remedy for that should Kenbish need it.
Probably just something to take away the sting and reduce some of the swelling. It'll be gone in a day or two at most.
And so she collects her footwear, and then once her companion has his shoes on and all, she is ready to find the mountain stair and get their lodgings situated. Hopefully Catholic Kanan won't be whipping himself there again. He's just been in the background the entire time. But and she won't say anything until they're a bit away from the temple complex itself. And kind of once they're away, she kind of, well, afraid that's Catholics for you, or at least their matriarch.
I find myself having an even greater respect for our more prestigious of the our dragon-blooded kin. Yes, they seem quite formidable. It was a great honor. I'm sure I'll be writing about it in my memoirs at some stage. And I've got to say, I've found even more respect for you, Kenbish. You took that with dignity and poise as expected of someone in your house. I commend you on it. Sincerely.
Thank you. While I'm certainly nowhere near as hearty as our dear companion, I'm not too bad myself. Yeah, when the situation calls for it. And then she's just like, there's like a beat, and she's like, I mean, I would also kind of appreciate if you had like some ointment or something, but.
Oh, of course. And he pulls it out and he hands you a bottle of medical rubbing alcohol. It's quite strong, but it might take the edge off it. Wish, and then he pulls out. And should we do it here now? Is it quite severe pain, or would you prefer it at our lodgings?
No, that can wait until we have our lodgings situated.
Out of his little travel case.
She kind of hands the stuff back to him for the moment, and then goes to get to the mountain stair.
So the staff at the mountain stair are very accommodating. It's a hefty sum to stay here. It is quite lavish. It won't bankrupt you, but it is probably one of the most expensive places that you've stayed and had to pay for it. Especially to be able to get lodgings for the pair of you. The person at the desk asks if it's going to be one room or two.
Two. I mean, this is. I actually don't know if Kenbish is aware that Nemos has a fiance, but no reason to give ammo for rumors. basically.
Nemos will pretend to be a little bit rebutted, but like in a good humoured way, and a smile. Sorry to inquire. I assume establishments such as yourselves would have some sort of concierge service, or at least some sort of register of businesses or things that we can use to make our stay here more comfortable and for any need.
Yes, of course. The concierge says and asks what it is that he can do to make your stay more lively and fun.
Well, I find
Or
myself
we have to
feeling...
privacy to do so.
Well, you may tell by this bag that I'm carrying around that I'm somewhat a physician, and I find myself becoming aware that perhaps it's not one for somebody of my standing to gallivant around the lower quarters of the city. I wonder if there is a, how do we say this, a reasonable coaching service that would ferry somebody from the lower district to the higher districts without making too much of an ostentatious affair of things, as I don't want them to feel too uncomfortable, being, of course, not accommodated to the luxury that one myself and clearly my colleague is. That be at all arrangeable? I wish to see my patient, but I don't wish to make a house call. It seems better to bring them here.
Why, yes, of course. You have a location.
Oh, of course. It pulls out the map, explains the pointer, the abode.
Yeah, one of the manors down by the docks. Yes. And do you have the name of the patient?
Did he actually give a name?
No.
We know his name. We don't. I mean, we could just say the mother of.
Yes, it'd be the sickly mother of Toby. Was it like wait?
Toby Tom.
Yes, Toby Tom's sick mother. It might be I hear she might be having back trouble, so it may be possible to hire some unskilled labourers to convey her if there's not family on hand to do such. But gently, mind you. I'm sure that won't be out of the scope and not be too much of an inconvenience.
Yes, of course. We could certainly provide such a service. Sort of make some notes down and says, what time will we be seeing your patient, sir?
I believe I prefer to get this out of the way so I can enjoy my evening. I hear there's lots to do in the city. I'm sure somebody as yourself would be quite capable of directing us to some great sites of this city. So as soon as possible, but I don't wish to put you under pressure. I know how working at these establishments can be quite time-consuming and quite burden-thing. So
as soon as possible, sir, certainly. Now, as to the manner of your accommodations, would you like a linked room, or would you like separate rooms on opposite ends of the same hall, or would you like rooms on different levels, or would you like room... What kind of room would you like?
Canbish is going to suggest linked rooms for basically the convenience of convening, essentially.
Yes, you understand. We're here on business. This is not, unfortunately, just purely pleasure. And so I, yes, have quite a masterstroke on my behalf. Contracted quite an excellent advisor, you see. So, and I have it on good authority that sometimes the business goes on to the wee hours and strike while the iron's hot and all that. So that'd be most convenient if you could accommodate us. Excuse me,
of course, pure business. And he sort of turns around and picks up a couple keys from the cabinet behind him and hands them over. You'll be in adjoining rooms 604 and 605. Please enjoy your stay at the stair.
Nemos will produce a tip, as is probably expected, and hand it over to him.
Yes, it is most gracious.
Pleasant evening to you as well. Quite the night for us here, kindly remark as walking on.
Sir, one more thing. He pushes this great book towards you. Would you mind signing your registrar?
Of course. Would high realm be sufficient, or would perhaps some other language?
Oh, sorry, that was a weird question. Yeah.
Squiggle.
And Kenbish also signs.
Actual names or pseudonyms?
Actual names. Nemos is still trying to maintain the cover of him on business, which I guess technically kind of is, although he's really confused what he's like.
Kenbish also actual names. I mean, there's enough legitimate places for her to be visiting on purely normal business, given the Nellens' business presence in the city.
Okay. Your rooms are quite swank. They are like a small apartment each, essentially. There is trays of complimentary drinks and foods and snacks and things, and if you need anything more, you can call down to the front desk by just pulling a little bell, and a serving person will come up. You do have an adjoining door between your wardrobes, so you are able to sort of enter into your room separately and but then sort of convene either in one room or the other through a doorway, as I mentioned, between your cupboards.
Almost immediately, you must be knocking on the wardrobe door.
And Kenbish opens.
Fine, the taking care of medical matters is best done sooner rather than later. So when convenient, please,
and
come over.
She, I guess, comes over to his room and basically just like finds a place to kind of sit and does the same, like, you know, get letting off the outer robe and then the under robe.
I will begin administrating the various ointments. Do you need a roll for this at all? Or?
No, it's okay. She's not actually injured. Just sort of cosmetically so. Thankfully, you're not interrupted, according to the great dice gods.
No, I wouldn't be bothered at all, although I would be most disparaged if you were, because obviously I'm with a patient. So that would go on my Dragon Talon review of this place.
Roll.
No, it has to be a yeah.
Roll.
Yeah, it has to be
Dragon roar.
Yeah, roar.
I roar.
Because dragons don't yelp, they roar.
So, was your family member able to give us avenues of inroads into this matter, or are we still at the more of a strategic planning stage of this whole endeavor?
I do believe we will need to plan some more, because as far as I can tell, basically what we know is that the recent shift has been due to a recent acquisition of farmlands abroad by Sasis through conquest, so they're drawing on those for their produce.
Strikes me as kind of odd, if you don't mind me saying, that such a senior member of Catholic would happen to be in the same region of the town when all this is happening. It seems that perhaps whatever's going on is attracting significantly how do we say, elevated players in realm politics, perhaps. Or it could be just coincidental. I tend to err on the side of caution coincidences. I think usually there's a reason for everything happening, which one's challenged to deduce what.
On one hand, I wouldn't rule that out entirely. On the other hand, from what I have heard of the great Kanan, he himself has little patience for politicking. Although, what exactly brings him to a stasis-controlled city, given the enmity between Sosis and Catholic houses? It could be nothing. It could just be that he is out and about on a tour of the various Immaculate Temples, or he could be looking into something in the city. I don't know. We'll have to see if anything else perhaps comes up.
Also, I've got to express I'm immensely proud of our little mountain. She seemed to have been bestowed quite an honor. Do you know the etiquette? Usually when things have happened, there's some sort of like a little gift or a nod to it, or what is the protocol for such things? Is attending the ceremony just enough to show our support of our compatriot?
Well, I believe that would be enough, although we'd best try not to fall asleep again this time, although I don't imagine Matriarch Kanan will be popping in just to make sure we don't nod off, but still might be worth
perhaps we should brew up a strong tea before we depart or something.
That would not be a bad idea.
I wouldn't recommend. Sorry.
That and if possible, either. Well, it's like, well, if it's at fourth candle and until morning, it might actually be better to try to turn in early, so as to have some sleep beforehand.
Yes, that's very wise. Also, I do believe that perhaps if we can pick up the more socially inclined of this city through our new accommodation, which are quite fine, that may be an inroad to at least making some friends and perhaps finding out what's been going on. Usually, these kind of things make at least a small splash in certain social circles, and usually there is somebody within those circles that knows what's going on if you know how to ask.
Indeed. I believe it would be, and she, once that's all applied, she, gets her robe back on and straightens up, and she's like, I believe we should see to the treatment of your patient, though.
Quite. Would you mind accompanying me and assisting me, as you seem to have better insight into the relationship of her and her son, and that could be helpful.
Of course, and she will accompany him, both because that's what friends do, and also just because this whole Toby Tom situation, she doesn't trust like that.
I've already taken minus liking to him. He's ghastly individual. Though he must have mentioned did suggest that mother was living in a manor of some sort, so perhaps a family or maybe of some note. Perhaps they have connections and friends that may be able to invite us to some social event, perhaps.
He shall simply have to see.
So we're waiting out for the arrival of our guests if they
Waiting?
are patient. Yes.
Okay. Comey,
All right.
do you have any reason to conceal information or lie to the abbot?
Like, is he asking about why she is here?
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn it.
She does. She merely says, at request, that I be discreet about my mission, and anymore. And I'm not good at keeping secrets. Like she openly admits she's not good at keeping secrets. So she merely says it's she is here investigating on behalf of someone who wishes just to remain anonymous.
I hope that such investigations won't conflict with your duties to the Order.
This is my first one. This is why one of the reasons why I have come with. I wish to see for myself whether this will.
I see.
I do not see this one being a result of that, resulting in that.
It's good to hear. So often, those of stature take advantage of those in our position, use our means of leverage to lighten their own burdens.
She nods and she gives him an assurance that if it comes to it, the path is more important than an individual.
Do you have any intimacies to such an effect?
She actually has a defining intimacy that the Immaculate Faith is the path that we must all take.
Good. Good.
Yeah, the Immaculate Faith is our guide. Defining principle, and a major principle that she herself must be a guide on as well.
Maybe an hour and a half or so into your purifications, which can take whatever form you feel, you and the abbot are interrupted by one of the other monks, who comes up to report and say that the temple has been requested if they could spare an investigator. There has been some trouble down in the docks district, and some of the hotel staff have failed to report back, and they need someone just to sort of pop on down and make sure that nothing is amiss.
Comey asked the abbot if it would be okay if she were to do this on behalf of the temple.
Just bows and says we would be honored.
Well, thank you. I'm going to inform my companions so that they know where I am on the in case they come looking to meet with me for anything.
Of course. I can direct them if you like.
Yes. That said, that said, if it's all right, I will go down and just inform them myself. I don't need me to trouble you any further.
Oh, please, it's no bother. You may do as you wish, of course.
Thank you. By the way, at some point, she would have requested the abbot's name. it's a little awkward just say like I out of character. I don't need an actual name. It's just one of those things in character. I can only say Abbott so many times before we have to start bringing in Costello.
Is Abbott not his written name? Abbott.
Abbott Costello.
I mean, we could have Abbott Costello.
No, we are not. I'll think of that later. That's fine. But yes, you would pick up the name.
Just, yeah, she would. All right. Mountain gives a polite bow and sets down the what I would probably be a tea or whatever that they use to cleanse the mind and everything, and makes her way out of the temple to head down to Mountain Stair.
Mountain Stair is quite grandiose, as I mentioned before. When you get to the desk, you are met by the concierge. It's like, yes, how can I help you? He looks you up and down. Your reverence?
Oh, I'm not that far along my journey yet, but I'm here. I came into the city with some companions, and I just wish to inform them of where that I'm about to be going on a small investigation on behalf of the temple. The Nellens Kembish and what's Nemos's
Tohak.
Yeah, Tohak.
Nemos Tohak.
Sort of takes this great book in front of him and sort of just opens it up and flicks through the pages. Nellens Kenbeck, did you say?
Yes, Nellens Kembish.
And Toak Nemos?
Yes.
Flicks through the book. Just flicks through the book some more, you know. No, it doesn't appear we have anyone here staying under those names. Would they have perhaps used a pseudonym? For their own privacy?
They might have, but
Toic, you have moose hands. What's going on?
I just want just so viewers, we wrote our real names in there. I'm not sure if he's been the innkeeper's been oh, you'd forgotten as Elk. So it's just No,
I know.
No, okay, good. Yeah, I was wondering if it was deliberate, but I thought I'd just double check.
They might have. I'm certain we discussed that they were coming here. They were actually with me at the temple. And she actually begins describing the two.
Sort of turns back to one of the other staff and asks them if they recognise, and the staff sort of shakes their head and goes, no, I'm terribly sorry. No one fitting that description has come to stay.
Curse my 0 doubts of socialize. Oh, maybe they've gone to get food somewhere. Please, if they do check in, please inform them of a message from a little mountain.
Oh, of course. And he sort of closes up the book and gets out a parchment and a pen ready.
Yes. I'm going to go investigate a small disturbance on behalf of the temple, and he said it was down by the docks, right?
A manor.
Down by the dock. Down by the You said manor?
Yeah, manor down by the docks.
A manor down by the docks.
Is
and if they wish to join me, I will be down there.
Do you have a more precise location?
She glances around for a map of some kind, in the hotel, trying to find, because she to remember the one that Nemos had. Is there a map anything like?
He sees you looking around and produces one for you.
Yes, and she looks at the map and points roughly to the spot where Nemos had marked on his.
He makes a mark and just shh. Would there be anything else, ma'am?
No, that will be all. Thank you very much.
He sort of just neatly folds up the letter and folds it up with the map and puts it into an envelope, sort of dripping some ink on it, and then sort of stamping it. Well, not stamping it, but like doing the pressing and to Nellens Canbish and Toic Nemos. Very well. And he just puts it into one of the carriers behind him. If they come by, I will let them know. Thank you. Have a good day.
Too kind. You as well. The dragons bless you.
And thank you.
And she makes her way out.
How long are Canbish and Nemos going to wait?
Well, I'm getting I imagine because I said as soon as possible and I want to get to bed early, I'm going to get more impatient. I've already had to wait for a 3-hour ceremony, of which 2 hours I don't really remember. I think I might have drifted off to sleep, may have caused some trouble. So I don't know about Canbish, but Nemos is pretty impatient sometimes. Unless it's an experiment, and then you can sit in hours and watch reagents drip and be like, wow.
Yeah, probably a couple of hours at most.
Yeah, so we wander down and see what the devil's going on.
At the limits of your patience, you wander on down. The concierge is there, sort of doing his work, sort of filling out some books and things.
I'm looking for an update on my patient's arrival.
Oh, yes. We had sent a team down, and we are simply waiting for them to return.
How long ago? Terry, how long ago did you send them down there?
Oh, it would have been maybe two hours. Yes, two hours.
And how long does the journey take to get there and back?
Possibly around an hour or more. Is there something wrong, sir?
Well, I was hoping to retire early, and of course, wishing to get up early to attend a ceremony at the temple. So, just finding this all very inconvenient. Trying to do this be a favor for somebody, and
terribly sorry, sir. We are just waiting for the workers to return. Could I offer you a fine beverage, perhaps, while you wait? Might shorten the journey a little.
I am fine for the moment. I've taken some very nicely customary drinks in the rooms, which are quite fine, as promised, which is good to see. Perhaps we should take this interim period to Canbish to talk to our friend and let them know where we're situated.
Yes, we should see if she's free.
Very well, sir.
I guess we'll head back up to the temple, and just hope Kenan's still gone.
Wait. If anybody calls for us, we would appreciate it if you let us know, or even leave a message for us while we're out. In fact, potentially, if you could leave a message for Little Mountain saying that we're just going to see her, and if by any chance we Miss Parves that we will return here shortly, probably.
Oh, of course. Sort of opens up her letter and starts. Little Mountain, did you say?
Yes, that's the location which she's known.
Oh, okay. And you have a description of the young friend.
She and Ken Bishop describes, Little Mountain.
I see. Sort of just folds up the letter and wax seals it and sort of just puts it into a container behind him next to another letter.
It's putting in like, I'm gonna have a look at, and I'm gonna use law mathematics to look at the distribution of these letters and see if I analyze any pattern in them in which may make sense, given that whether these are like distributed as in by room, or if they're distributed randomly by datal order, or by any other numbering system I can think of.
Don't roll. It's basically, yes, there are a whole lot of like pigeonholes for the different rooms for mail and stuff. The socket that he's put it into is for the concierge desk. Basically, he's just putting it somewhere where he can hold on to it until he can pass it on to the correct person.
Okay. Intriguing. And off we go to the temple then.
Comey.
Yes.
Heading down through the streets. As we mentioned before, Chanos is this wildly windy city. It is the closest point in the Blessed Isle to the northern shores beyond the inland sea. So it's a chill wind that passes through. There's something about it that is comfortable, though. Like, recalling you back to the days where you sort of meditated underneath a cold running waterfall, something like that. Something traditionally monkey. As in monk-like, not monkey.
They could be both.
When you get down towards the docks, you can see there's a great number of sort of triremes and other types of ships sort of all in moored. There's a great deal of activity, things being loaded and unloaded from all of these ships. It's a great sort of mass of people and activity and such going around. The tide at this point has come in, and so all of the ships are moored and ready. And you can hear someone sort of ringing out a bell, warning everyone that the tide is about to recede. So they need to finish their work quickly before the ships essentially dip and make their work more difficult. Following the directions you're given, you're able to come across a large manor house that sort of, it's up on a little bit of a hill, sort of overseeing the Docklands area. And you're pretty sure that if you were to stand at one of the front-facing windows of this place, you could probably see the entire docks from there. Likely the abode of an overseer of some kind. When you get to the gates, there is a pair of guards sort of just flanking the gates, just armed with spears and they're armed with spears, armored and armed with spears, just basic lamella, sort of stock standard for mercenaries in this area. And when you approach, they sort of just ask you for your business. You know, what brings you here? What ho?
Alright, she mentions she's here on behalf of the Immaculate Temple to investigate it was disappearances of some workers who haven't come in.
Yeah, they haven't called back.
Yeah. Some workers who haven't called back. I'm merely investigating. Have you heard anything?
Yes. They basically just say that there was some people who'd come down from the stair, as they refer to it, looking for the lady of the household, and they had let them in through the front gate, but no one has left since they arrived. No one else has come asking for them, though. You're the first.
might I be allowed in to see if I could just confirm, just to confirm to be able to report back that they're okay?
Absolutely, and they open up the gateway for you and let you in up towards the manor. They don't follow you, they wait for you to pass through, and they close the gate behind you.
She starts making her way, glancing around. She's actually got quite a keen eye for noticing details and such. Awareness 4.
The manor is made of sort of wood paneling. It's not quite the sort of the rice paper wall that you would come to expect in some realm houses or realm manors, especially an estate as old as this one. You can tell that the place is weathered. There's sort of marks through the woodwork from the sort of salt spray from the sea as it's sort of blown up the hill by the great winds. It would require quite a lot of cleaning on the front end, especially. And while that has been done, it's sort of left its wear on the woodwork. Doesn't look like it's been re-lacquered any time recently. Might only sort of spare the lacquer maybe once a year. You get up to the front door, you give it a good knock, and opens, and you're greeted by some serving staff who, again, ask for your purpose here.
She gives the same information. I was just trying to find information regarding some workers from the Mountain Stair. They haven't returned back, and it was just it was requested somebody from the temple come see if anything had happened to them.
Oh yes, of course. The lady was just the lady of the manor was just in the process of readying herself for departure after they arrived and announced why they were there. It has taken some time, so they have. In the meantime, they've sort of taken up residence in the dojo out the back.
Oh. All right. May I go speak to them just to confirm that way, or I can return to my people and let them know.
They give small bows and let you through. This manor is not as grandiose as, say, the Mountain Stair, but it is a lot richer than you're used to seeing. Maybe a patrician-style housing, certainly not peasant. It's too rich for that. And as you pass in and through, you find that the building has that sort of U-shape build to it, and as you sort of pass in and through, out through the back door, there's this nice sort of garden with sort of bubbling streams and one of those bamboo knocker things. I don't know what they're called, but they fill with water and then they... Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Nice sort of Zen garden, and then there's another small building just off the back, surrounded by... more gardens and high walls, sort of protecting it from the city proper. And when you sort of get up to the dojo and you slide the door open and step inside, there's maybe about 10 fellows here, all practicing through various kata. They wear dark gi, and you can see the person leading them is Tomi Tom. After they pause halfway through one of their kata with a nice shot. Ah, my little friend. It brings you all the way down here.
Oh, I believe some, given that from what I've heard, I believe some workers. Wait a second. She starts putting some things together. Some workers were sent to retrieve your mother to take back to the mountain stair, which they told me my friends hadn't arrived there yet.
Well, they certainly haven't arrived here like they promised.
Well, that's interesting. I was told that some workers from the stair had come and taken residence in the dojo while waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. You can feel movement around you as the people start to form a circle around you.
Oh shit.
Were you looking for a little bit of a hospitality as well?
I don't suppose we could bypass a fight.
Oh, it's a fight you want, is it?
No, I actually rather not. But if it comes down to it, I will defend myself.
Well, you see, the problem with that is I've been offered an awful lot of coin to fight you. Now, I hadn't, by the dragons, have any righteous idea as to why, but someone wants you roughed up, and I'd be good with the roughing. I don't suppose you could top that offer, could you?
She shakes her head.
Ah, you see, well, then you've tipped your hand and we have very little business to discuss. Now, if your friends had come down here like they promised, then, well, maybe you have more purse strings to pluck a few coins from. But as it happens, you appear to be here alone.
Not entirely alone, and she reaches to her back, pulls the hammer out, lets the drape to reveal the white jade on it, and slams it into the ground.
Ooh, scary.
Which, at this point, I will note she herself preparing with an evocation.
Okay. What's that?
This one is Faith Maintains. She consecrates the ground she is standing on, and it grants her essence plus a defining principle of soak and essence hardness to her natural soak.
Okay. Is this just close range, or?
Okay, so a life of virtue begins with the foundation of faith. Touching faith's pillar to the ground, the wielder consecrates the ground on which she stands. As long as she doesn't move from this point, she adds essence plus the dedicated principle to her natural soak and gains essence hardness. It's 2 motes, 1 willpower, it's simple, and it lasts for a scene.
Okay, cool.
So that would give her an additional 6 soak on top of her 5. Yeah. Do we really want to do this?
It's business. I've been paid already. Either I rough you up, or you beat the snot out of us. Either way, coin's coin, eh?
Gonna take a look at him to see if he happens to have any sign, like, does he have any sign of being dragon-blooded at all?
Not that you can see.
No? Okay. She shakes her head. I do hope that you realize this is a gross stepping up above your station.
Well, little lady, maybe you think it is, maybe you think it isn't, but where I'm standing, you're down here rolling around in the mud with the rest of us. Join battle. And that's where we end today's session.
Bruh.
Do I get any stunt on the joint battle with that?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 points.
Sweet!
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna make that roll now. For the record, I'm gonna spend 4 motes peripheral on it. Well, technically, because I have a certain Hearthstone, I could actually spend 6 motes on it to activate my awareness excellency, because my Hearthstone turns a principle of mine into a specialty for all abilities. And that is guiding people on the proper path.
Okay. Hit him with your giant beat stick is guiding them on the proper path. I'll allow that.
I mean, sometimes a monk's got a monk. All right, so wits 4, awareness 4, plus a specialty, and then 4 automatic successes because she's buying 3 with the excellency.
Mm-hmm.
And that will also put her at the glowing state. Not the glowing.
Oh wait, you mean this?
I do mean that.
Wong.
All right, let's get this roll on there. So yeah, so that's 11 dice with 4 successes.
Oh, that looked cool.
So grand total of 8 successes.
That's 11 initiative.
Yep.
Oh.
Now, is it counting him and then a battle group, or is it actually 10 people? Like, am I?
No, him and a battle group. I'm not going to roll 10 people into combat because.
Cool. Awesome. I look forward to that then next week.
I'm just gonna.
Well, it actually could be next week. You could just do a one-on-one, just because next week unfortunately is the week that
Yes,
I am unfortunately away.
No.
Yep.
No, that's right. Okay, cool. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We do need to just cut it off there for today. It's getting quite late for the others. For anyone who does watch our other streams, Invictwitch has a bonus session tomorrow with Kel, as they have been separated off from the rest of the group and needs to have some Twinkle Twinkle Dreams going on there. Thank you very much, everyone, for playing. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching live. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week. And if you want to drop by, we'll see you about at the same time tomorrow. Farewell.
Next Exalt time, next Exalt chat. Wait, no, same Exalt time, same Exalt channel. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.